What's up, Nootropics lovers? My name's Monsel and I'm with Nootropedia, and today I'm coming at you from Grand Teton, Wyoming, or Grand Teton, Wyoming. I'm not really sure, but today we're going to talk about 6 smart drugs that Tim Ferriss uses. So guys, Tim Ferriss is a popular biohacker. In fact, these days he's popular for just about anything that he gets involved in, but he has been known to use smart drugs, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the drugs that he uses, and I'm going to break it down into 2 sections. So guys, I'm going to break it down into what he used to take and why he no longer uses it, or maybe a few theories on why he no longer uses it, and number 2, what he's currently taking right now. So guys, as far as the nootropics that he used to take, number 1 is the racetam family. Now, if any of you are familiar with smart drugs and nootropics, piracetam is one of the first nootropics to be introduced in the 1960s and 70s. Of course, then most people didn't use it as a nootropic. It was actually a prescription drug for memory and learning in people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and memory loss in old age. However, Tim Ferriss has mentioned on numerous occasions that he has used the racetam family before. Now, I don't think that he uses it anymore. Someone who's experimented with a lot of things seems to have found the racetam family to be useful, at least for a time, and so it might also be useful to you. Now, number 2 is hydrogene, and this is a synthetic drug that's developed from rye in the 1940s. It was first synthesized by Albert Hofmann, who is the inventor of LSD. It is FDA approved for senile dementia and memory, so my assumption is Tim Ferriss may have used this at some point for memory and learning ability. So guys, number 3 is l-deprenyl, and this is an MAO-B inhibitor which is used to treat Parkinson's disease, and in animal models it's been shown to increase learning ability, but there are some studies that show there is potential for longevity benefits or anti-aging. So this is another one of the smart drugs that Tim Ferriss has used and no longer uses. So guys, number 4 is modafinil, and this is pretty much a staple in Silicon Valley at this point. I've talked about it numerous times, and Tim Ferriss has mentioned trying it, knowing numerous people in Silicon Valley who are using it, but it looks, from all accounts, from what he said on the podcast and some of his videos, that he is no longer using any of these 4 nootropics that I just mentioned. So guys, now I'm going to go into 6 of the nootropics that Tim Ferriss uses, and I'm going to quickly give you a few bullet points on why he may use them, why I am in agreement with a lot of them. Number 1 is creatine monohydrate, and creatine is a very basic compound. We all make plenty of creatine ourselves, although most of the creatine that we consume comes from meat, and specifically red meat. Now, creatine helps increase cellular ATP, or energy, and that's one of the reasons why bodybuilders use creatine, so that they can increase their mass and strength and have more energy in the gym. Now, creatine monohydrate can do the same for your brain, which is why it is an anti-fatigue agent, so it helps people not get tired so quickly, but it is also great for general learning and memory formation as well. Now, number 2 is ubiquinol, and it sounds kind of a complicated nootropic. Ubiquinol is actually a compound that's similar to CoQ10. It is electron rich, and it is, according to many, supposed to be better than CoQ10, but it's primarily useful for increasing mitochondrial health, improving aging, and hopefully extending longevity in the long term. It's similar to creatine in that it's working on the fundamentals of our mitochondria and our cellular energy. So number 3 is mushroom coffee. If you've watched any of Tim Ferriss's videos on YouTube or listened to his podcast, he has been talking about 4 Sigmatic coffee for quite a while. Now, there's good merit to it because the 4 Sigmatic guys make a pretty good product. They use the fruiting bodies from lime lion's mane, which has been shown to increase nerve growth factor, which can help with memory and learning and especially neuroprotection as well. But some of the terms that Tim Ferriss uses, like lighting up your brain like a Christmas tree, I just haven't experienced that. So maybe he's sensitive, but I wouldn't suspect that the 4-sigmatic mushroom coffee is going to be any kind of game changer necessarily. So number 4 is yerba mate, and Tim Ferriss has seemingly geeked out on everything yerba mate, including the traditional method of consuming yerba mate. So according to him, he's been using it to utilize the caffeine over a longer term period instead of something like coffee, which is one straight caffeine shot and then a crash later on. So it might be something that you find interesting as well. So number 5 is exogenous ketones. I've talked about this in the video where I talked about smart drugs in Silicon Valley, and Tim Ferriss is no different. In fact, Tim Ferriss seems to have kind of spawned a lot of the interest in the ketogenic diet, and he's had guests like Dominic D'Agostino and Peter Attia come on and discuss the benefits of a ketogenic diet. Now, Tim Ferriss utilized this primarily when he had Lyme disease at first, but now seems to be a big proponent, and exogenous ketones seem to be a way to help him and many others to get into a state of ketosis. All right, guys, number 6, the final nootropic that Tim Ferriss is using right now is butter tea. So it seems like Tim is trying to avoid caffeine, or at least lessen his consumption of caffeine, and I couldn't agree more. I'm actually on a trip right now where I won't be taking any caffeine just to reset my tolerance. But anyway, Tim uses a similar recipe as butter coffee or bulletproof coffee, but instead uses tea, oftentimes pu'er tea. So this might be a final solution for you. Get those healthy fats, get your mind moving, but without all the caffeine. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I personally am a big fan of Tim Ferriss, even if I don't agree with all his nootropic decisions. I think you can learn a lot from his experiences. He's been using nootropics for a long time. So like I said, I've broken it down 4 nootropics that he used to use, which were a little more intense, a little more high risk, and then 6 specific nootropics that he's using right now in 2017. Anyway, love you guys. I'll see you next time.
The blood on our hands is the wine. We offer a sacrifice.